This is our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 24, 2019. I'm your technical analyst, JC De Guzman, and I'll be talking about PXP, JGS, SSI, Double Dragon, CHP, ICT, MWC, Green, Surpass, and PNB. I'll be talking about my technical analysis and then I'll give you my overall sentiment and recommended trade setups. I will begin with PXP. PXP closed on Tuesday at 9.24. That's higher than its VWAP of 8.72. And it managed to enter the zone between the 50 SMA and 20 SMA. So for me, this is already a bullish, relatively bullish in the short term, but not yet in the medium and long term. This ascent in price came with a strong volume that's more than just 100% above its 10-day volume average. Foreign investors also bought about 10 million pesos worth of shares. We also saw a crossover of the MACD above the signal line. So with the price moving above the 10 SMA and the MACD crossing above the signal line, we can say that that's already uh, one confirmed buy signal. Okay, but let's double check or check some more indicators later, especially the price and volume distribution. If we really if all four criteria in terms of buying a stock are all present. For now, we have a green candlestick. The price is above the VWAP. Volume is more than just above the 10-day volume average. Later on, let's see if we have another bullish signal coming from the price and volume distribution. Okay, now let's check on our price and volume distribution for PXP. So it's quite active stock, as can be seen by this long price and volume distribution chart. So let's see. Let me just scroll up and down so we can see. And by the way, let's check. What was the closing price again? It was 9.24. And 9.24 was closer to the intraday high than is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. So we can say that the most voluminous and most traded range is between this area. Check that. Between 9.3, between 8.9 to 9.3. Okay? And that's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Now, just in case PXP will start on Wednesday below 8.9, there's another range that we need to monitor as well. That would be between 8.5 to 8.72. Okay? 8.5 to 8.72. Now, just in case, again, just in case, these are scenarios. If PXP will start or will break down below 8.5, there's another range that we can also monitor. And that would be between 7.95 to 8.36. Okay, let's scroll a little bit more. We can say 7.85 to 8.36. So those are the three ranges that we need to monitor from top to bottom. Okay. So, but for now, relative to the closing price of PXP, the most traded and most voluminous range is already closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. So all four criteria are present. So it seems to me that PXP managed to respect the support. It seemed to have found a base near 6.75, and this recovery with a strong bullish volume supports that insight that PXP may have already found a base near 6.75 to 6.70. So if you would like to do a test buy on PXP, you can do so. Just make sure that you monitor the price action between those three ranges that I showed to you a while ago. So my overall sentiment is bullish. For the new entrants, you can do a test buy within those ranges that you need to monitor. Okay. Now, for those who already have PXP, you already know my default answer to that, especially if you bought PXP above 10 pesos per share. Okay. I maybe you could have already sold a few tranches and re-entered when this confirmed reversal appeared on Tuesday. Okay, so do not take good care of your losing stocks, especially if they are already moving below your tolerable risk. Exit as soon as possible, and just trade the stock again once you've seen those confirmed reversals or confirmed buying signals. Okay. Now let's move on to the next stock in the list. We have JGS. JGS closed on Tuesday at 65.65. But by the way, let's go back to PXP. I think I did not mention the support and resistance. Okay. The support now is at 7.55. Resistance is at 9.84. Should it break above 9.84, that will make 11.45 as its next resistance level. And that emanates, or that comes from its historical resistance. See, I'm zooming out the stock. Now, if it breaks down below 7.55, that will make 5.11 as its next support level. Okay. Now, let's move on to JGS. JGS closed on Tuesday at 65.65. Support is at 60.46. Resistance is near 69.62. This price is already moving above the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA, but we prefer to see the 10 SMA moving above the 50 SMA so we can say that there's already a perfect bullish alignment between the three SMAs. For now, it's bullish in the short term and in the long term, but not yet in a perfect, well, as far as the alignment of the moving averages are concerned, it's not yet in a perfect bullish alignment. Nevertheless, foreign investors bought about 35 million pesos worth of shares on Tuesday. We also spotted the MACD crossing above the signal line. That's a golden cross. Okay. And let's see here. So we have all three criteria present already. Volume is already above its 10-day volume average. See this one. Okay. So it seems that the JGS already found its base also at 61.2. So it did not challenge its main support at 60.5 or 60.46. It already considered 61.2 apparently as its base or psychological bottom. Now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution for JGS. This is the most voluminous and most traded range. It's between it's quite wide. But as far as if we are going to consider the longest bars here, I would say it's just between 63.8 all the way to 65.65. 63.8 to 65.65, the closing price, and that's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Therefore, all four criteria are present. If you have JGS, you can top up within that range. If you don't have a position yet, you can do a test buy within that range as well. So my overall sentiment on JGS is bullish. Okay, next stock in the list, we have SSI. So SSI closed on Tuesday at 2.70. It's at the brink of piercing or breaking out above its resistance at 2.70 or 2.71. Support is at 2.54. If it breaks down below 2.54, that will make 2.34 as its next support level. Breaking above 2.71 will make 2.84 as its next resistance zone. This ascent in price at 2.70 is higher than its VWAP of 2.67 and that also registered a volume above its 10-day volume average. In addition to that, foreign investors bought about 5 million pesos worth of shares. For 2019 year to date, foreign investors remain bullish on SSI. MACD remains bullish. There's no sign of any bearish convergence with the signal line yet. But be mindful that RSI at 73%, it's already close to its classical overbought level of 80%. So my recommendation, before my recommendation, let's take a look at it. It's a price and volume distribution price first, or price volume distribution chart. So the most traded and most voluminous range is between 2.67 all the way to 2.72. That's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Despite the appearance of all four criteria, I suggest that for those who have SSI, especially those who bought near 2.09 or 2 pesos per share, lock in some profits between 2.7 to 2.84. Lock in some profits there. Especially that RSI is already near its classical overbought level. Okay? For those who don't have a position yet on SSI, be on a wait and see mode for now, despite the appearance of those four criteria, because it's already near its classical overbought level. We have to monitor first if there's still a strong appetite or a strong desire coming from the traders to buy SSI on a significant level still above 2.80 or 2.84. So we have to monitor that first. Okay. At this moment, you already have a thicker potential risk than your potential reward. I'm referring to the new entrants, especially those who are just planning to trade SSI now, and those who did not manage to buy closer to 2.09 or 2 pesos per share. Okay, so my overall sentiment is bullish, but take note of those pieces of advice that I gave for those who have SSI and for those who are still planning to play this stock. Okay, next we have Double Dragon. So Double Dragon or DD closed on Tuesday at 25.8, support is at 23.92, resistance is at 28 pesos, 28.04. If it breaks down below 23.92, that will make 20.16 as its next support level. I'm not going to mention yet the next resistance because there's still too much work to be done by Double Dragon to break out above 28 pesos per share. But at this moment, it's already moving bullishly above its 3 SMAs, and these 3 SMAs are aligned in a perfect bullish alignment already. This closing price also ascended above its VWAP of 25.55 on Tuesday. Volume is bullish above its 10-day volume average. Foreign investors bought about 13 million pesos worth of shares. For 2019 year to date, foreign investors are bullish on DD. I also don't see any formation of a bearish convergence with the signal line, meaning to say the bullish ascent of MACD continues. On the other hand, RSI is already at 75%. It's already close to its classical overbought level as well. So my advice is that you consider locking in some profits from 26 to 28 pesos. And that means it's up to you if you'd like to sell all of your holdings, all of your shares on Double Dragon, or you will just sell a few tranches. And I would suggest you sell in tranches so you can still take advantage of its ascent should it decide to continue moving upwards. For the new entrants, don't do a test buy just yet. You have to monitor first if there's still enough gas for Double Dragon to break out above 28 pesos per share. But if you are already an experienced trader, then you can do a test buy within this range that we're going to check. And the most voluminous and most traded range is between 25.4 to 25.8. Okay, it's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. So I would only recommend those who are really experienced when it comes to trading, especially those who know how to temp check the behavior of stocks, to do a test buy. For the relatively newbies or new entrants or new traders and investors, stay on the sidelines for now and monitor if For example, if Double Dragon continues to go up above 26 to 26.5 and volume remains above the 10-day volume average, then that could be a confirm. You can take that as a confirmation that there's still more than enough gas for Double Dragon to go higher. So therefore you can do a test buy. Okay, for now monitor. Okay, for the newbie traders. For the experienced ones, you can do a test buy within that range that I showed a while back. For those who have Double Dragon, lock in some profits between 26 to 28 pesos, either in tranches or in full as a whole, all of your holdings on Double Dragon. Next, we have CHP. CHP closed on Tuesday at 1.96. That ascent is 1 centavo higher than its VWAP of 1.94. 2 centavo higher, by the way. And it managed to re-enter the zone between the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA. But mind you, I'm still seeing a perfect bearish alignment as far as the alignment of the three moving averages are concerned, SMAs. The price is about 80% of its 10-day volume average. And on the other hand, foreign investors sold about 14 million pesos worth of shares, and they are bearish for 2019 year to date on CHP. Meanwhile, I'm seeing a formation of a bullish convergence with the signal line, although MACD is still below the signal line, but there's already that sign of a formation of a bullish convergence with the signal line. I mean to say, if the ascendant price continues maybe higher than 2 pesos per share, between 2.5 to 2.10, maybe when that happens, we will already see MACD either touching the signal line, poised to cross above it, or maybe it's already moving above the signal line by then. Okay, but let's take a look at the price and volume distribution, and let's find out if the most traded and most voluminous range is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. And I think it is. The most traded and most voluminous range is between 1.94 to 1.97. So as far as our four criteria are present, they are present. So for those who don't have a position in CHP, I would recommend that you have the option to do a test buy within that range that I showed you. Okay. Now for those who have CHP, especially those who bought from the top, let's say from 2.88. Okay. Make sure that I'm hoping that you followed your risk management plan. If your trailing stop loss got hit when the price was descending from 2.88 all the way to 1.8, I do hope you activated or you respected your trailing stop loss. So don't plan and then don't plan and not follow your plan later. So that's, I think there's no more foolish thing to do than plan now and disrespect your plan later. So it's a waste of time to do planning now and only to ignore it later once it got hit. Okay, so plan and follow the plan. Okay, now so again, for the new entrants, you can do a test buy within that range that I showed a while ago. Okay, so my overall sentiment is bullish, but it's not super bullish because I'm still not quite happy about the size of the volume that I'm seeing right now. Okay. All right, so that's it for CHP. Now let's move on to ICT. ICT closed on Tuesday at 121.4. Support is at 110.70. Resistance is at 122.5. This green candlestick closed above its VWAP of 120.87. VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. It is believed that mutual fund managers buy at the VWAP so as not to pollute the normal market or the prevailing market breadth of the stock. So that's why I always cite the VWAP for you. Okay. Now this green candlestick was matched with volume with a volume that's above its 10-day volume average. Foreign investors bought about 70 or 80 million pesos worth of shares on Tuesday, and therefore their sentiment for 2019 year to date is bullish. So, however, as I see it on the MACD's histogram, MACD is already still busy moving below the signal line. I see no signs of bullish convergence with the signal line yet. It's still in a bearish divergence from the signal line. Okay, so before I say that all four criteria are present, we have to check the PVD chart of ICT, or the price volume distribution chart. So the most voluminous and most traded range is between it's between 120, not actually 120. It's between 121 to 121.9. 121 to 121.9. It's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Despite the appearance of all four criteria, mind you that MACD is yet to show us a bullish convergence with the signal line. So it looks like it's not yet convinced that it's about time for MACD to show signs of a bullish convergence with the signal line. Besides, all three SMAs of ICT are still in a perfect bearish alignment, or sorry, not bearish alignment, still in a bullish alignment, by the way, because the shorter term moving averages are all above the longer term ones. It's just that the last price is already still moving below the 50 SMA, meaning to say the uptrend is already broken. So, and however, it's trying to recover above this. But let me tell you this: do you know what made ICT drop this much from its closing price on Monday at 127.5 all the way to 122.5? What do you think? Okay, it's because of the 5 peso cash dividend. It's dilution. It's normal. Uh, does it mean ICT is already bearish because of this gap? No. Despite dilution, normally during dilution, normally we would see a red candlestick, but in the case of ICT, we see a green one, meaning to say the dilution effect did not affect the sentiment of traders to buy on ICT. So they still bought ICT. There was still a strong appetite to buy ICT on Tuesday. So there was a 5 peso cash dividend, and April 24 was the ex-dividend date. Okay? So there you go. So I'm still bullish on ICT. For those who have ICT, you can top up within that range that I mentioned a while back. If not because of dilution, maybe we should have seen a bullish convergence with the signal line already. Okay, but nonetheless, we can expect MACD to know that because it just bases it only uses the price action as its basis for these lines. So MACD does not have a brain on its own to consider dilution. Okay, now let's move on to MWC. MWC closed on Tuesday at 22.7. It's at the brink of breaking down below its support at 22.7 also. Resistance is at 25 pesos per share. This red candlestick was matched with the bearish volume above its 10-day volume average. It also closed below its VWAP of 22.73. I'm already seeing a perfect bearish alignment from the three SMAs. The last candlestick is already below the 10 SMA. That makes it double bearish, so to speak. And MACD is already showing us, although it's moving above the signal line, I'm seeing a formation of a bearish convergence with the signal line already. And I think this will, the bearishness will strengthen if and when, of course, the price breaks down below 22.7. And what would be the next support should the price break down below 22.7? So what I did, I plotted a down Fibonacci retracement, and I am going to cite the 61.8% Fibonacci extension of the down Fibonacci diagram or chart and the next support would be in confluence with the 61.8% Fibonacci down Fibonacci extension at 19.4. Okay, take note of this, 19.4. All right. So let's take a look at the price and volume distribution chart of MWC. So the most voluminous and most traded range is between 22.45 to 22.9, and that's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. So all four criteria that we are looking for as signs, as go signals to enter a new position on the stock are present or absent. They are absent, of course. Okay, so if you have a position, this is the chart pattern wherein I can't emphasize enough the importance of respecting your trading stop loss, because I can't give you false hope to cling on or to hang on onto your stock uh, and tell you that it will recover soon. I don't want to say that, especially that all signs are giving us a bearish signal. So respect your trading stop loss. If you have MWC, if you don't have this stock in your portfolio, don't hurry, don't buy just yet. Wait for the appearance of confirmed buy signals. For now, there's zero buy signal. There's no buy signal yet, so continue monitoring MWC. Next stock in our list, we have Green. Green closed on Tuesday at 2.74. Support is at 2.34. Resistance is at 2.92. So it seems that Green considered the resistance at 2.92 as a tough one since it bounced away when it hit that level. It made some attempts for sure to try to break out above 2.92 to no avail. So therefore, the green is now already moving below its 10 SMA and also below its 50 SMA. And that breakdown below the 50 SMA broke the uptrend, I would say, for the green. The last price of 2.74 is below the VWAP of 2.76 on Tuesday. There's also this descent in price was also matched with the bearish volume above its 10-day volume average. Foreign investors sold about $500,000 worth of shares. I also see a formation of a bearish convergence with a signal line. That's a bearish convergence. Only a formation, not yet a confirmed one, because it's still above the signal line. But even the RSI has already bent downwards going to the south. Historical volatility is at 48%, a moderate low risk level for green. Okay, now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution chart of green. The most voluminous and most traded range is between 2.7 to 2.8, and that's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high, meaning to say that adds up to my bearish overall sentiment, and I would want to recommend or to advise you to wait for a pullback near 2.34 or until the dust settles down for green. If you have a stock, if you have a position on green, lock in some profits near 2.92 from its current price all the way to 2.92. If you don't have green yet, don't rush. Let it do as much selling as it would want to, and if possible, wait for a pullback near 2.34. As soon as you feel some signs of reversal, you reevaluate. If you don't know how to reevaluate on your own, ask for my assistance in our private clients forum. Now, moving on to Surpass or X. Surpass closed on Tuesday at 1.13. Support is at 1.05. Resistance is at 1.31. I'm seeing a perfect bearish alignment on the three simple moving averages of Surpass. And the last candlestick is already moving below the 10 SMA. It failed to sustain its position above the 10 SMA after doing several attempts in the past few weeks. And this red candlestick of 1.13 closed below its volume weighted average price of 1.15. And this bearish candlestick was matched with a bearish volume above the 10-day volume average. Foreign investors sold about 9 million pesos worth of shares on Tuesday, and their overall sentiment for 2019 year to date is no other than bearish. I'm also seeing formation of a bearish convergence with a signal line, even though MACD is still moving below the or above the signal line. Okay, so let's take a look at the price and volume distribution chart of X. If we also see a bearish sign, or if it's still closer to the intraday low than the intraday high, and that seems to be the case indeed. The most traded and most voluminous range is between 1.13 to 1.19. That's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high, and that adds up to my bearish overall sentiment and surpass. And I would advise that you lock in some profits if you already have if you have had X, especially if you bought uh, above 1.3, please follow your trailing stop loss by all means. If you don't have surpass, wait for it to retest the support at 1.05. Once you see some change in the color of the candlestick from red to green and volume seems to be higher than 50% of the 10-day volume average, you reevaluate first. If reevaluate first to see if our four criteria are present. If they are, do a test buy within the range that you got from your price volume distribution analysis. But if the four criteria are not present, don't do a test buy just yet. And if you don't know how to reevaluate on your own, as usual, ask for my assistance in our private clients forum. Moving on to the last stock in the list for Tuesday, we have the Philippine National Bank, or PNB. PNB closed on Tuesday at 52.5. It's looks like it's at the midpoint between its support at 49.3 and its resistance at 56.2 or 56.3 to round it up. And the last price of 52.5 is below its VWAP of 53.07. This red candlestick is already moving below its 50 SMA, meaning to say the uptrend has already been broken. It's bearish in the short to medium term, but still bullish in the long term. The red candlestick was matched with the volume that's, I think it's less than 50% of its 10-day volume average. So by seeing this green candlestick and considering the flimsiness or the thinness of volume, I would say that it's not more likely for the price to continue to go down because there was no convincing appetite to sell down PNB on Tuesday. If there was one, we should be seeing staggering volume here, a volume that's more than just 50% of its 10-day volume average. But we see a slim volume, relatively slim volume on PNB. So there was no appetite from, there was no interest from PNB investors to sell down the stock. Okay, so that's just a simple analysis, and it seems that PNB investors translated 50.70 as the base of PNB. They did not let it to retest the support at 49.3. Okay, so here, let's take a look at the price and volume distribution chart of PNB though. So the most traded and most voluminous range is pegged between 52.5 to 52.75. So that's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. Okay, so with that, I would say my overall sentiment is neutral to bearish on PNB. I have some reservations when it comes to saying that it would go all the way to 49.3. Perhaps if it continues to go down, it would still retest or respect the support at 50.70 as a precursor to 49.30. But sentiments change when things change, as always. So we have to reevaluate again, once the price touches 50.70 to see if there is a strong probability for the price to still go down towards 49.30. But for now, I'm neutral to bearish on PNB. Even though there's the word neutral in my overall sentiment, it doesn't mean it's safe. Let's not use the word safe. It doesn't mean it's logical to enter a new position in PNB. No, not just yet. Let the dust settles down as usual. Okay, So don't buy just yet. Don't top up just yet. So if you have PNB, instead of thinking about topping up, monitor your trailing stop loss instead. So there you go for the top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 24, 2019. If you have follow-up questions, please post them inside our private clients forum. Again, my name is JC De Guzman and have a profitable trading day ahead.